happy Friday to you and yours. Welcome to another edition of XFeed. If this is your first time tuning in, what's up? My name is Chiller. Stay for a few minutes, see if you enjoy this, and I would love if you're able to share it. Maybe give it a like if you are liking it. Now, with that said, speaking of things that we like, how about Star Wars and Bored Apes? Now, there's no official connection or anything, but I saw this on the timeline, and it really makes you think for a second about the 3D characters, the worlds, the metaverse idea, the concept of all of these fun things. It just shows, hey, there's a way that we can kind of integrate everything, but it comes down to the rights, yada, yada, yada. Now, this, as I said a second ago, is just somebody who is messing around to show something, but at what point do we have it where potentially within these games you can insert basically any avatar? Within this, you would think, okay, the person who's the character of the Bored Ape, well, they would, own that Bored Ape. Well, if AI is integrating in a whole bunch of stuff and there's not really any barriers or preventative measures for that, well, could anybody just be rocking with that exact same ape within the different worlds? Obviously, that's kind of down the path of the, massively decentralized future. But just thinking of the different tools and whatnot, sure, we have the 3D files, but I feel like things are going to change over time. Now, speaking of metaverse, Herman here, who's one of the people working on Improbable, had a very, very hot take here. And it feels that we're maybe going back into the realm of people being, very bullish on themselves, slightly toxic towards others, but he says the only backed metaverse with any chance of workings. Replying to somebody that's asking about Other Side, which is Yugi's big project. And I thought, this is kind of interesting. And it's funny because I posted this in the holders chat for Futureverse, and I was like, oh, this is interesting. And a whole bunch of people responded, including Aaron and whatnot. And I don't even think he took the time to respond to all the people that commented on this, but very, very interesting that we might be coming back to the toxic founder timeline. Hell yeah, we got war every day, baby. Here's an interesting take. I was previously concerned that the cycle was accelerated, but I don't think this is now the case. Bitcoin making an all-time high before the halving, plus alts like Sol also running to a market cap all-time high, was unusual for this early point in the cycle. This has thrown a lot of people off, which again, the timeline's always very interesting as of late. But Bitcoin consolidating for so long below its all-time high, plus this huge alt wash, which I think will take a bit of time to recover from, suggests we are in a fairly regular crypto cycle, which should peak in 2025. All right, so what do you guys think in terms of the cycle? It's wild to go on the timeline because when you sit there and you think about it, like how many friends do you have in person? You're probably connected with everybody online, but having these conversations in person, number one, somebody's going to look like a fish, somebody's going to be right, somebody's going to be super wrong. But I mean, where do you even have these conversations if you haven't lived these things, if you haven't seen what it's like? I mean, this feels like a completely different time, unless we're just flat out saying everything to do with the blockchain is just like the internet. And if that's the case, oh, brother. All right, so this is kind of interesting in a collection that I used to highlight a lot, and then it felt like I have no idea what happened. And this was a team that said, hey, we had the best of the biz, ex-Disney, ex-Microsoft, biggest hackers, best team, yada, yada, yada. And I don't know what in the world happened, but it's Icon. They're still rocking and rolling here, launching a comic book, but I don't know their full immersion online experiences and everything. I don't know if they bit off more than they can chew, but they definitely sold a lot, and it feels that, I was expecting a lot more. But that's okay. The fact that they're still kicking, we will see if they have that redemption arc. Now, one thing that I don't really understand, and I do need to do a little bit of my DYOR on, is the SEC thing with Ripple, where originally they asked for $2 billion, and now they're switching it to $100 million at the same time that the Ethereum foundation or the entirety of Ethereum as a network and protocol is like, hey, this is totally fine. I mean, I don't really know what to think. Maybe they're like, hey, we know that we're giving everybody off scot-free, so we can't ask you for $2 billion, but maybe we can bring it down to $100 million. Yeah, what's going on, Pickle? Anything paper physical is short-term trash, long-term gold. Listen, and that is why we be breaking out the one and only Machamp First Edition Hollow Foil. Hell yeah, brother. True. It's funny, though, and I don't know if you've been looking at, the original Pokemon cards or anything like that. Harry Small, what's going on, brother? But it's insane. A lot of them really aren't that expensively priced. For them, again, you can just get, the basic common things for, $1, sometimes even less. It's crazy. Crazy. But some of those rare ones, again, do go for a little bit more. Now, the other day, we highlighted the Kraken security update and the protocol or company that was caught in this situation, claiming to be a white hat hacker, has actually given the funds back. So bravo for the world of crypto. We don't have some shenanigans going on, apparently. Nick's saying, update, we can now confirm the funds have been returned, minus a small amount lost to fees. What kind of fees are we talking about? DC investor saying credit cards typically charge businesses who accept them 1.5% to 3.5% of transactions. This is an insane number when you consider an average small restaurant only makes a profit margin of 3 to 6%. Literally giving half of your profit to a payment processor in some cases, massive opportunity for disruption. Now, what's interesting about this is on face value, you read that and you're like, okay, that sounds, like a reasonable take. And then Alex Becker is kind of like trashing it, saying, yep, I mean, in the future, they could just give all their profit margin to ETH gas fees, and the only drawback would be the customers waiting 30 minutes for the transaction to run. Gated. But he responded saying, study growing payments use on Base. More interesting than trolling. And there was another person that kind of trolled too, saying, yeah, instead they could pay $50 per transaction in gas fees to subsidize your favorite ICO token. And again, another response saying, meanwhile, Base built on Ethereum and using ETH, processing local business payment transactions for basically free. Enjoy your time living in 2017, hoping for ETH to be deemed a security. Right, firing. We got feistiness on the timeline, but it is really interesting and something that I wasn't familiar with. But if Base is helping businesses have these transactions and it's, very cost efficient, we could see some massive shakeups. And again, the opportunity with that is there's a lot of speculation within the space, but when there is real world tangible value or something that makes something more efficient, which we'll get into the Pokemon online game and how it could actually be made more efficient in an odd way that you might not be familiar about. This is exactly what we're talking about. SEC just dropped their ETH 2.0 inquiry. Unbelievable, eh? Like, what the hell is going on? They go through all these things saying, oh, the Howey test, oh, this is garbage, this, that, and the other thing. They're like, you know what? Hey, we're gonna have a beach day today. Never mind. Have fun. Get the hell out of here. Unbelievable. Now, some big news coming out of Futureverse is they launched Gen. Today, we couldn't be more excited to premiere Gen, the alpha version. Our ethically trained generative music platform introduces a new standard for copyright compliance in text-to-music generation. So this is really neat where you can go in, and if you guys want to make an account, it's genmusic.ai. You give yourself a title, and then it gives you 300 credits to use. Topping up the credits isn't that expensive, but it only costs like 3 credits to create a track. So again, 3 to 300. There's a lot of room you can play with, and basically you just type in, like if I wanted to say, give me a soundtrack of a dinner table where I'm eating pickles, right? For distressed pickle here. And it would give you a generation of what that would sound like. Let me see if I can actually go do this right quick. But they have hinted that Hans Zimmer is a part of this. They've had Lang being a component of it too, who's a huge individual for that. But let's say dinner table eating surrounded by nature. Okay, let's see if we can do this. I tried to do a rap one yesterday and it sounded really weird. So we'll click this, we'll generate it, see what we can come up with. But this is kind of an example because, or actually, while that goes right quick, we'll read kind of through the rest of it and then play that. With over 40 fully licensed catalogs in our initial training set, Gen adheres to a strict training doctrine that emphasizes our commitment to transparency, compensation, and copyright identification. From novices with the song in their hearts to professional producers, Gen empowers creators to bring their musical visions to life and push through boundaries. A pioneer in the field of AI music with multiple patents pending, Gen features proprietary high-fidelity waveform-based diffusion models that leverage a unique neural network architecture to deliver tracks in high quality stereo audio. Okay, so we're at a table, we're having some pickles with pickle. So that's one variant. They give you a second one as well. But then with this is you can be like, okay, well that, Shell, maybe that doesn't sound exactly what you want, but you can kind of keep going through and change it however you want. This is like the freestyle rap one that I made yesterday. Yo, we're here. We're live on Twitch. We got our Pokemon and Harry Swan in the chat. True. This is why I don't do any music, right? But the idea is that it's really, really flexible and you can do a lot of things with it. And it's something that is integrated within the blockchain, which is kind of neat, and excited to see how that transforms over time. Some more news here with Catalyze Research and Futureverse. Exciting news. Catalyze Research is thrilled to announce our investment in Cappy as part of the Born Ready Ventures ecosystem fund of the open metaverse. Now, this is something you might not be familiar about whatsoever, but I was like, holy smokes, when I really dove into it. So Cappy is a Web 3.0 project by FreeCap, a subsidiary of Africa TV, the largest live streaming platform in South Korea, designed to strengthen the community between content creators and fans. Cappy Social supports Web3 projects, builders, content creators, and artists like streamers, enabling them to create and engage with their fans and communities more intimately and easily. Africa TV, FreeCap's parent company, is a leading content platform in Korea with a market cap of $1 billion and revenues over 250 million, surpassing even Twitch in Korea. But why is already successful company expanding into Web3? Because it's the future. Come on, fish! Cappy aims to overcome the limitations of the traditional gift economy, offering fair rewards for both creators and fans. Cappy goes beyond the traditional one-way communication issues of Web2, enabling creators and fans to share the rewards for growing the community together. Now, what's interesting about this is the whole idea with Web3, and we've gone like back and forth with like the notions of things, but the idea is, okay, well, if like protocol company whatever is successful, well, you have the different components that are part of it. It's kind of the same aspect of like, hey, you bought Pokemon cards early days, but this is like a little bit different because you are always connected to your original consumers, your fans. You can see how long they've been a part of something for a long time. Now, obviously there's like rewards programs that are a part of it, but it's really exacerbating the whole like super fan aspect and loyalty to a whole nother extent. And that's what's kind of cool. Trader Pop's Futureverse will be the reason everyone gets a music deal. Well, what do you mean by everybody? Did you hear my tracks? Yeah, listen, I didn't do very well, but for you, you know, you might kill it. Okay, so apparently the German government is still selling Bitcoin. Okay, that's unbelievable. Why the hell? Why do we know that Germany is selling Bitcoin? In the past 2 hours, the German government sent $65 million in Bitcoin to two likely exchange deposits, including Coinbase. The German government moved $600 million of Bitcoin yesterday, sending 130 million Bitcoin to four likely exchange deposits, including Kraken and Bitstamp. Very, very interesting that, you know, a couple years ago, we were just there like, hey, we kind of like this stuff. And now we got governments around the world buying and selling the bags. Unbelievable. Okay, so listen, this might sound a little bit funny, but I'm going to be totally honest. I have not used Magic Eden whatsoever. They had their diamond reward drop, and that was cool, but I still really only look at Blur and OpenSea. I know that there was the huge push from a bunch of the massive Ethereum collections to do something on Magic Eden. They had the marketing for that. They had all those ambassadors that they brought on board. But if I'm not looking and going to buy these specific NFTs, there's like no reason to be looking at these marketplaces. And, you know, the same argument for Blur and OpenSea as well, 100%. But, you know, just like scrolling through it, I feel like I'm kind of like a creature of habit. And we're so used to using the other. Just curious for you guys, have you been using Magic Eden? But with that said, here's their latest announcement. As promised, Magic tickets are getting integrated into our rewards program. We've been removing diamonds, which is their reward diamonds or tokens, points, from inorganic users who have been clearly abusing the program. And today we're reallocating them to you. You can now burn your Magic tickets for diamonds on Magic Eden. Okay, so, yeah, I mean, I guess this is cool again. Holy smokes, 250,000 views. Unbelievable. Unbelievable, but not super relevant to me. However, what is relevant? Oh, Canada is going to offer a Solana ETF. What the halibut is this? Toronto, June 20th, which is yesterday. 3IQ Digital Asset Manager, a global pioneer in digital asset investment solutions and one of the largest investment fund managers dedicated exclusively to digital assets in Canada, is pleased to announce that the Solana Fund has filed a preliminary prospectus with the securities regulatory authorities in all of the provinces and territories of Canada. In relation to an initial public offering of Class A units and Class F unit, who the hell cares about all that other stuff? But the Solana Fund's investment objects are to provide unit holders with exposure to the digital currency SOL and the daily price movements of the US dollar price of SOL, the opportunity for long-term capital appreciation, and staking yield generated by the network. So I've tried to preach from specifically my point of view. Everybody's totally different, but with the NFT landscape, we started seeing a big push where I it happened probably before apes, but I noticed it with apes of, hey, okay, if you stake it, you are able to get some sort of yield. And, you know, for myself, I was kind of more on the NFT side versus crypto. And then when you get into crypto, you're like, oh my goodness, there's so many different ways to earn yield. You can use these different platforms ahead of time. You can loan out here, put funds over there, get a whole bunch of points, yield, 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 yield. And I think that's really kind of the name of the game right now, where more people are realizing the different opportunities within that space, where it's not necessarily just buying and holding something where you can. But the fact with this is that the staking yield is a component of it. I think that will be very, very interesting, and we'll see how it goes. But hey, holy smokes, Canada in the news for crypto. We love to see it. So earlier I mentioned that we're going to talk about Pokemon, the card game online. Now, if you've played Magic the Gathering, I'm trying to think of other different games that are out there that are TCG. Parallel, obviously that's Web3 integrated, but they all have kind of different systems. And when I tried the Pokemon online game, it was unbelievable. And to catch you up, like if you want to start and play the online version, you have to go out and purchase the physical card packs and then upload the codes. You rip the packs digitally. They give you like some battle pass type initiatives where you can unlock more, but it doesn't really feel that great. And Brandon here talking about that, saying there's no stakes, no incentives to play, and no guarantee that it actually works when you want to play. Again, it's super buggy in terms of them having updates. There isn't really any kind of incentives to play. And so nobody is surprised. The bar was set incredibly low from the start, and it still didn't meet that. Yet we'll still boot it up because for some reason, it's all we love. And that was a quote tweet to a stat about the game saying Pokemon TCG Live's first year of stats released. Less than 3% usage compared to Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, which is wild because for most people, you ask them between Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon, I would say 9 times out of 10, they're going to be like, yeah, I've heard of Pokemon, maybe not Yu-Gi-Oh! And especially playing that game, I don't know a soul that plays Yu-Gi-Oh!, but I know a fair few people that do for Pokemon. But damn, that is crazy numbers and stats for that. And it shows, hey, is there any kind of blockchain integration for that extra incentive? Is it the fact that Pokemon themselves don't want to do it? Are they fine with the numbers for it? Wouldn't they want to push sales? How do you have that super fandom being able to be a part of it? Because if I want to spend a whole bunch of money online on just the digital Pokemon, like I actually can't right now, and that's crazy to me. All right, other page here. We're thrilled to partner with 10KTF Shop to provide key infrastructure for upcoming activations on ApeChain. If you are somebody who is in the ecosystem, I highly recommend you check out other page. Seems that they are getting integrated with almost everything that is going on regarding ApeChain and things within Yuga. A couple of OG Bored Apes in there. Talked to them a whole bunch. Absolutely love the group, and interesting to see 10KTF here, where I remember on the timeline, everybody was talking and so excited about different things for the 10KTF, especially those G tags. And then the art came out, and like, again, not the FUD, but like, man, I have not seen anybody talk about 10KTF whatsoever, but very much do like other page and what their tools are in terms of allowing people to showcase what they have within the ecosystem and kind of keep track on all of that stuff. All right, DCL blogger here with a pretty good post. It's kind of a kick. You know what we need in crypto? More blockchains, please. We got Ethereum, IMX, Polygon, Ton, Tron, BNB Chain, Solana, Arbitrum, Blast, Avalanche, Optimism, Sui, Kronos, Mantle, Starknet, Near Protocol, Cardano, Ronin, ZK, SIBC, EOS, Say Network, Neo, Aurora, VeChain, ETC, Classic. I'm joking. Please stop. We need functional apps that copy, paste, trad, UX layers. Again, whole bunch of stuff. I feel like most people don't use anything, and why I'm kind of bullish on knowing some of these blockchains have these big brands and things that people like from the traditional world, and they're going to bring it here because everybody's having a blockchain. Okay, that's cool, but what is the reason for them to use it? Kind of a hot take here from Yams. Do you agree or disagree? Crypto punks are the crypto kitties of the 2021 NFT bull market. Prices are down bad with cringe corporate VC vibe and a few undocumented and unverifiable large sales that couldn't even hype the market. I'll take a V1 over a V2 as it has no Yuga execution risk or related baggage. So the TLDR, for anybody that doesn't know, within CryptoPunks, there's actually like two different like contracts or collections. One's the V2, and then there is a V2 and a V1 and a V2, and most people notably like the V2 version because that's supposed to be the main one. But this original one, there's kind of like an underground cult, might not be like a great word, but hey, this is the original. And then we had this other one. And so all this hype about this, you can get the V1s for significantly cheaper than a V2. And it's interesting because I was always like, yeah, I like the V2 much, much more. But when you look at things and you see, okay, now there seems to be all these problems and people dislike a lot of the stuff that's going on with it. Well, maybe these V1s do see a resurgence. So very interesting to think about. Tyler Durden here, who getting the title right, is building Mocha Network and the head of projects at Animoca brand. So didn't know at first glance if this was legit, but obviously it is. The Mocha token from Animoca is coming in July. So that's going to be a huge liquidity event. We'll also probably see a massive cascade of different eligible NFTs like the Mochaverse. We'll see if they have any kind of extra incentives of, hey, if you stake your NFT or if you do whatever with it. But typically we've seen massive crashes of NFTs that are for a token generating event. And once that token's out, well, just eat that NFT, brother. More news from Mochaverse, the world's leading football platform. One Football officially signs on to join Realm Network with OFC, the club onboarding 200 million plus football fans into the Mocha network. So this is kind of the example of what we are looking for in terms of like the real world use cases, something that people are integrated with and will actually bring some kind of attention. Maybe it's transactions, awareness. Well, I mean, you hope it's transactions and people actually doing stuff on the network within integrations. But either way, again, 200 million plus football fans. If that's actually the audience for that, that is massive for the Mocha network. Okay, Minex saying, I've been trying to hold it all week, but F it. Azuki at 3 ETH is an absolute steal. Okay, so here's the thing within the space right now. You got to buy stuff because you love it. Because we have no idea what's going to be good, what's going to be bad. I'm remembering back when Azuki had their concert. I don't know if it was LA, Vegas, or what, but they dropped the beans or the boxes that turned into beans. And that was Omega hype. The market went absolutely crazy when they dropped the elementals. Everything absolutely cascaded and a whole bunch of trust kind of completely left the ecosystem. It feels like and we can do this for every collection. Do not think for a second this is just for Azuki, but we can say this for Bored Apes. We can say this for different things within Futureverse. Cool Cats. Yeah, the pets, the milk thing. That didn't really work out. We go down the list. We just go down the list of different things that were good and bad. And so all these kind of posts, I don't necessarily like because 3 ETH is like the absolute pico top here for most of the NFTs out there, but maybe the audience out there is going to be for that and interested, but I'm still of the mindset that I think we're going to need the tokens to move before we see NFTs, because what the hell is the catalyst? It's not celebrities. Is it going to be staking of some sort? If they do drop some kind of a token for these things, again, we always see an immediate cascade of the NFTs. So how do you accrue value in like a time efficient way? Apart from some mega whale sweeping, I don't really know in this market. All right, so apparently most altcoins are massively oversold. Dr. Profit here, are they right or are they wrong? Your reminder that the most of altcoins are massively oversold. My altcoin report told you everything you need to know. All right, chilling it. This is bottom area right now. Whoever is wasting time here will regret in 30 to 45 days and buy at higher prices. So what do you think? Do you think we're going to go lower a little bit? Do you think we're going to go higher? Given a timeline of 30 to 45 days, very interesting, as again, we're approaching this whole ETH ETF mantra. Do we see massive inflows? We were just talking about the German government dumping a bunch of Bitcoin. Are people getting out of Bitcoin and getting ready for Ethereum? Are they getting ready for other things? Because once Ethereum starts, the whole market goes wild. Who the hell knows? Now, completely different here, and I saw this on my timeline and I saved it just because I was like, conversational sake. And again, I don't really have super strong opinions about everything, but I love hearing what other people have. And then I saw it again. So here's the first part of it. Anyone considering buying real estate, don't. You're being scammed by society into buying the top of an 85-year bull market. Boomers are taking a multi-generational dump on your head. Buy the shit Zoomers and Gen A will be buying rather than the shit Boomers and Gen X will be selling. So this is kind of very interesting. And I mean, listen, there's a lot of people in the world. The real estate seems to always be doing good. But damn, when you compare the house prices that rocketed over the past 2 years, it's almost like the early days of like 2021 NFTs where, okay, we have this thing and holy smokes, we just kind of liked it, and then damn, this thing became super valuable. But DC Investor, who have been talking about a fair bit throughout these tweets, responded to that post saying, buy a house if one, you can afford it without significant financial strain, and two, need a place to live and plan to be there for at least 10 years. Over that time, you probably won't lose, and also not everything in life has to be psychotically timed, like it is a market game. And if the idea of owning and taking care of something like that really bothers you, then yeah, you probably aren't ready to buy. It's also okay to rent if you save a lot elsewhere and don't mind the trade-offs. Now, okay, Shell, we're here for NFTs. Why in the absolute deep fried halibut are you talking about real estate on here? And it feels like the timeline has shifted from being completely focused on crypto to, I would say, arguably branching off to everything, where, okay, is it now the tech is hidden and this is just going to be a kind of component where it's going to progress and the technology is going to be incorporated in a whole bunch of different things? As I've said before on the RWA's podcast, or RWA segments podcast that I do, we've interviewed a guy who's tokenizing real estate essentially and land. And it's wild to see that these things are happening. And it just seems that everybody's talking about whatever, and we're suddenly kind of removing those barriers that it feels like there once was of, hey, we only follow different people for talking about NFTs, and now we get life advice. Now, guys, do you want some Bored Ape gummy bears? To be honest, if I was at a store, I'd probably buy them. Now, would everybody else? I don't know, but I do love the aspect of seeing these IPs initiated in a much bigger way. So Ihozu here saying, I ranked in the top 100 in Heavy Metal and Legends of the Mara and in the top 30 in Dookie Dash. But I didn't gain anything from them, only 150 ape. In Wolf Game, I ranked 11th and already received 2,000 Blast Gold. For Web3 gamers, focusing on the right game is crucial. Unfortunately, actively playing Yuga's games hasn't brought me any benefits and not fun. I believe Yuga Labs should bridge to Blast next game. I'm seriously recommending this as a member of the council. So it's so interesting to me where we have like this huge focus on Blast, and I think that it's very it has very high potential to get those users and whatnot, but at the same time, isn't this Blast Gold and everything else just kind of over the next little while? Is this something that's more? I'm not very familiar with it, but then the question becomes, okay, well, if things can migrate over to Blast easily, well, is there a way that it can connect to Ronin? These other networks that could get more is Coinbase and everything to do with Base. Now going to be the next thing that pops up because we go through these different narratives. Is Blast going to be the one? And it's true that all gaming is going to be on Blast, where we have IMX, Ronin, Roots trying to get up there now as well. We have all these games that are trying to, or chains that are trying to focus and be known for something. And it's just, I don't know. I don't know. When we look at all these things, it's true that like the most thing that I agree with this is that you got to focus on the right games if you're playing this for like a specific reason. And the problem, which I think games will start to notice unless there's some massive speculation, is we had no idea what the hell we were playing for originally within Heavy Metal and Legends of the Mara. It was kind of like all this speculative nature, and that works in a market that, you know, people are excited about and they want to see those things. But I think you also need to have that structure of like, hey, this is exactly what you're going for. And people are just smarter now and they're not going to bite into bigger things. Now, this got sold on the market. And to be honest, I actually think this is a fire ape. I'm not going out there buying it or anything. But listen, $34,000 if you care about that digital identity, if you're wanting a membership within the club. I thought that one looked pretty nice. I just wanted to share that super quick. Okay, talking about the rich. The 14th richest person in the world, Michael Dell, reposted a Michael Saylor reply stating Bitcoin is a digital scarcity. Apparently, MicroStrategy did a huge whopping big buy on Bitcoin earlier today or late last night as well. But a lot of things going on here. But damn, apparently the richest people in the world going all in here on Bitcoin. Now, talking about Ripple and XRP, quick here from Brad Garlinghouse. As many have noticed and some have already pointed out, there have been numerous misleading and some factually incorrect headlines describing the decision made by a California judge yesterday in the class action lawsuit about XRP. I'm happy to see some correcting them. I wish I could link them all here. To be absolutely clear, this is a big win. All class action claims in the suit were dismissed, and absolutely nothing in the decision negates or changes the fact that XRP is, in and of itself, not a security, per the New York court decision. The CA ruling dismissed all allegations that Ripple had somehow violated federal securities law by selling XRP. As for the single state law claim that will now be scheduled for trial, the sole plaintiff didn't buy XRP directly from Ripple and can't say if he even heard the statement before he traded and only owned a couple hundred XRP. This was a clear example of the trolls that unsuccessfully tried to take advantage of the US legal system and distort statements to seek hundreds of millions in class action settlements. And lastly, regarding any misleading statements, I stand by what I said, and I'm looking forward to shedding light on that during trial. So again, a lot of fun on the timelines, different news sources saying different things. Again, you listen to me. If you're tuning in here, know that I have biases towards things. You got to do your own research. You hear different stuff. This is just kind of supposed to be like a baseline educational thing, get you excited about what's going on in the world. You know what I mean? But that's going to be it for this edition of XFeed. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Again, one last time, if you're able to share it and give this a like, I would appreciate the hell out of you. Mr. Trader Pops, the one and only Distressed Pickle, and Harry Swan. When are we playing some Pokemon? And I know that sometimes I'm a slowpoke to getting on, but one day, soon, we'll be gaming, playing Pokemon IRL